Welcome to this video tutorial. We're going to be evaluating sociological explanations of crime and deviance from paper 3. What you want to do with your evaluation is to avoid something called juxtaposition. So you may have had a piece of work marked and you've got it back with the terms juxtaposition, but do you know exactly what it means? You possibly will have tried to evaluate or criticise and you think that you have done that, and your teacher might have said, don't just write about the view in the question, but be critical, try and give opposing views, and you have had a go at this, but what you're realising is that your evaluation is not specific enough. It's in fact what we call juxtaposition. So what exactly is it? Well, put simply, it's two side-by-side ideas in contrast to one another. Instead, aim to be specific in your criticism, challenge the ideas directly rather than just giving an opposing views. So let's have a look at some examples. So you have a handout that you can download, so then you can have a go at this, and then as you watch the video, you can check through your answers. So here are the 5 views about crime and deviance that we are going to be having a look at. So you can pause it now, have a go at evaluating each of them, and then jump back in and we're going to check your answers. So our first sociological explanation about crime and deviance may come from labelling theory. So Cicero argues that police officers use typifications or stereotypes, and this tends to focus on working class street crime, and as a result working class appear more on official crime statistics. So we want to think about how might we evaluate that. So you could focus on the idea that it focuses on working class street crime. Is there any evaluation points there? And also we've mentioned about official crime statistics. What could we say about them? So working class street crime, well, that ignores crimes of the powerful, such as corporate crime, state crime and green crime. So Cicero really did, with his research where he was observing police officers, he noticed that they did tend to focus on one style of crime, and that meant that other types of crimes, like mentioned there, they tend to become invisible. They're not tended to be investigated as easily. So as a result, this has an impact on official crime statistics. So your official crime statistics is a social construct. It is created through the actions and interactions of people who are involved in that interaction, so the police officers and the suspects. And this will create a dark figure of crime, the crime that we're not capturing in those statistics. And as a result, these statistics are lower in validity. They're not true, they're not accurate. Our second example is from feminist theory. So according to patriarchal control theory, women are prevented from committing crime in the home, public and the workplace. And as a result, they are less likely to commit utilitarian and corporate crime. So we want to be thinking, is patriarchy still controlling women, or is women starting to change? So if we pick out this idea about a patriarchal control, some sociologists such as Adler, with her thesis on the liberation, that women are breaking free from patriarchy, and we're starting to see women move into committing crimes that were traditionally associated with men, such as joining largish subcultures, for example, or even as they start to break through the glass ceiling, moving into more corporate type crimes as well. Also, if we focus on the point about committing utilitarian crime, the majority of crimes that do appear on crime statistics are the ones that are captured by the police, and women traditionally do not appear on statistics as much, according to the chivalry thesis. So we could also evaluate that as well. Example number 3 comes from Taylor. Taylor looked at the impact of globalisation, and he argued that crime has been caused at both ends of the social spectrum. So at the poor end, we've got deindustrialisation causing unemployment, which results in an increase in working class street crime or utilitarian crime. And at the rich end, you've got your transnational corporations committing corporate and green crime. So think about some of the aspects of that explanation that you might want to be critical about. So overall, Taylor's theory does show a correlation with global changes in the economy and the new patterns of crime as a result of this. We could also look at the poor end of the spectrum, that working class street crime. Again, we can correlate that with official crime statistics and question question the validity of those, and the idea that the transnational corporations committing corporate and green crime tend not to be captured on official crime statistics. And that idea is because if we look at traditional criminology, they look at focusing on laws that have been broken, and instead maybe we need to look at our transgressive criminology and look at the harms that have been caused where laws not being broken. And that might be the reason why some transnational corporations do move the industry, their productions into underdeveloped or developing countries in order to avoid health and safety legislations or minimum wage, looking after their workers and things like that. Okay. Moving on to example number 4, capitalism is criminogenic. It causes crime due to alienation, so people become frustrated, and it causes violence, poverty and exploitation, and a consumer culture which may cause utilitarian crime. So we could look at criminogenic capitalism. So this idea that crime only exists as a result of capitalism and the values of capitalism causing crime. Well, crime exists in non-capitalist societies, and there are some capitalist societies that have low crime rates. And again, this explanation is really focusing on working class crime, and capitalism also does cause crime at the other end of the spectrum, where there is crimes of the powerful as they pursue the wealth and the profit and maintaining their status in society. So this might suggest that there are other factors that might influence crime as well, and it is very much deterministic in the fact that it is focusing on capitalism or class, and there are other factors that might influence crime rates such as social control or masculinity, your ethnicity, and so on. Our final example comes from our left realist. So working class commit crime due to relative deprivation, marginalisation, and as a result they join subcultures. They're also suffering from economic exclusion and cultural inclusion. So again, what can you see in that explanation that you can be critical about? So this explanation again is focusing on working class street crime. It's ignoring the crimes of the powerful, your corporate crime, state crime, any non-utilitarian crimes as well, and green crimes. You could also do a little bit of analysis here, because your realists do argue that your crime statistics are accurate. They agree on that, but your right realist would argue that criminals are more rational. They weigh up the pros and cons, so it's not necessarily that those are committing crime because they're deprived. It's more about they're taking the opportunity to for different reasons, and you can make that comparison there as well to get a little bit of analysis also. So as a result, avoid learning or revising studies or viewpoints in isolation. Instead, review topics as a whole, pick out themes, and you can even start to apply different sociological views to it, but be critical as you do it. When you are using the however and thinking that you're criticising, avoid just giving an opposing view. Instead, review the viewpoint and a specific critical point at the same time and see them part of the same explanation. So massive thank you for watching and listening. Hopefully you should be able to evaluate it a little bit more critically. Any comments or questions, put them in the comments below, and have a fantastic day. Thanks everyone. Bye.